What's up, everyone, and welcome into your Celtic source, home of your 0-2 Boston Celtics. And this game was frustrating in a multitude of ways, but more importantly, it really highlights how on games like Wednesday's loss against the 76ers, you have to get those wins because the Knicks are a playoff contender. They are one of the top teams in the East, if not the NBA. And I expect the Celtics to lose to this team. In fact, I'd give a lot of credit to the Celtics in coming back in this game after some of the disappointing performances they had in the first half. But on Wednesday's game, where Joel Embiid has a rough game and Paul George is out, you have to win that game because there are going to be teams like the Knicks throughout the season where you don't really have a chance of competing if anything at all goes wrong. And the Knicks are not even close to some of the teams out west that you're going to be playing. Like, when you go up against the Thunder, you have to shoot like 70% to have a chance in that game. And that's what worries me about this team. Because there are games where the Celtics are just not going to shoot the ball well. And that is an automatic loss this season because you just don't have the talent to find other ways to win. And they're trying to build that culture right now, but I think it's a long way to go. But we'll get into this game, and then at the end of the show, I'll quickly talk about the NBA Cup and the Celtics' new court design, and then we'll wrap it up. But I think we should start with the first quarter, and Joe Mazzulla, he goes right away to that hockey substitution that we were unsure of whether we would get in the regular season, just because it's kind of unique in that no team really subs out every single one of those guys because you're taking the starters and you're putting in a bench unit that is not ready to go up against the starting unit. And Joe Mazzulla, he basically doesn't care. He puts in a full new starting lineup when the Celtics were unable to get a rebound, to get a stop, and get out in transition and score. And this is when we see Hugo Gonzalez. He makes his debut, and I'll talk about Hugo Gonzalez later because I thought he had a fantastic debut in stuff that doesn't always show up in the box score. But Jordan Walsh, he makes his season debut. Maybe he played actually in the 76ers. Doesn't do much. And the rebounding continues to be a problem. Keita got subbed out early as part of that five-man substitution, puts in Gonzalez, puts in Chris Boucher. And, Keita was fine throughout the game. I didn't think there were really, he wasn't a huge problem like in the 76ers game. He didn't foul out. He did have a couple, sloppy mistakes down the stretch of the game. I don't think it cost them the game. I think the lead was already too big that it didn't really matter in that case. And we'll talk about how the Celtics came back. But it was that second quarter that basically made the difference in this game. Knicks got out to a 30-point lead, something like that. And while the Celtics did claw back in that fourth quarter, it was sort of too little too late. And, let's talk about why the Knicks were able to get out to that lead. It was really just the shooting and basically offensive rebounds. And to be honest, I didn't think that the Celtics defense was really the problem in this game. Right? You hold the Knicks to 105 points with those offensive rebounds, with those second chance points. It was the lack of, performance from some of your key guys. Right? Derrick White continues to struggle shooting. Jaylen Brown, he was okay in this game, Payton Pritchard is struggling right now in the starting lineup. And I'm starting to wonder if Payton Pritchard should go back to the bench, because he was fantastic last season in that role, coming off the bench, the sixth man of the year. And now that he's going up against starting defenders, he's struggling to get a shot off. In this game, he scores just 8 points, 1 of 7 from 3, 2 of 10 overall. He's getting a little flustered, a little rushed on some of his shots. And it's not being helped out by the fact that Derrick White is also struggling. Jaylen Brown is also struggling. So defenders are sort of laying off of them and focusing more on Payton Pritchard, on some of the other guys, while they continue to struggle. So in order for this team to find success, everybody has to be making their shots to keep teams honest in defending, because it's so easy for teams without Jason Tatum to just go and double Jaylen Brown. And Jaylen Brown, he has to make the read to kick it out, to play make, right, for others, because you're not going to score in a double team. But when that happens, guys have to knock down the shots to help Jaylen Brown out. If that doesn't happen, then yeah, you're not going to win games, right? What did they shoot in this game? 15 for 44. 34%. It's a little bit better than they shot against the 76ers, which is why I think the Celtics were able to come back in this game down the stretch when the Knicks went a little cold and the Celtics found their rhythm finally. But as I said, it was a little bit too late, right? Had there been, 5 more minutes in the game, I think the Celtics would have came back and won, specifically because of Hugo Gonzalez, which we'll talk about in 1 second. But on this point, when the Celtics don't shoot above 35% in a game, I'm not sure they're going to have a chance to win any game. They got to be making 15 threes at least on 35% shooting to have a chance in these games, because they don't have the talent to make up in other ways. And quite frankly, if this rebounding continues to be a problem, they're not going to have the defense to keep them in games. And I thought, like I said, the Celtics did a great job defensively for the most part. You have to be happy keeping a team to 105 points against any team, because the NBA is just that talented. Even a team like the Utah Jazz, who had a ridiculous win the other day, but the Nets, the Wizards, all these bad, quote-unquote bad teams in the NBA are still going to score 100 points a night, because that's just how the NBA is right now. So keeping a team to just 105 points is a fantastic accomplishment for this team right now. And, everyone is pitching in defensively to try their best and get deflections and get stops in any way they can, whether that be, rushing, whether that be everybody crashing to try and get rebounds, to limit the second chance opportunities, which are going to continue to occur because they just don't have that talent, that rebounding talent. So yes, it's going to be a struggle all season, and Joe Mazzulla is going to continue to make subs based on that, which is why I think Hugo Gonzalez made such an impact in this game, because he was able to get rebounds and get, contest shots, but then also provide on the offensive end. Let's talk about Hugo Gonzalez right now. So the box score, it's not going to jump out at you, right? He scores just 8 points, has, what do you have, 4 rebounds, I think, 1 assist, maybe, 2 steals. But it was what he was able to do with his effort, with his energy, blocking shots or contesting shots, getting deflections. Maybe he didn't get the steal, in terms of, a stat solely based on him. But if he was able to force a bad pass, force a turnover, that counts as, helping the team make deflections, or helping the team get stops, because this team, they don't have the talent to, allow teams to get a full 24-second shot clock. They just don't. They need guys to basically stop an offense before it gets to that 24 seconds, because 24 seconds is just way too much time to go for an offense to expose the weaknesses in the defense. So if you can get deflections and turnovers and limit the actual shots being taken, that's huge for this team. And Hugo Gonzalez was able to do just that. And then on the offensive end, he was making cuts, being physical, getting rebounds, setting screens for other guys. He was the spark of that comeback in that fourth quarter. And in any other year, when Jason Tatum is playing, when you have all the other talent around him, Hugo Gonzalez is probably sitting up in Maine right now, and he doesn't get the initial chance to try and make an impact on this team because they just have too many guys, and he is that odd man out. But you need someone like him right now, especially when talent is not prevailing. You need guys that maybe don't have that talent, but are bringing the energy, bringing the effort, and the talent will come with that. And I think Hugo Gonzalez has passed, based just solely on this game and preseason, has passed a lot of guys on the lineup. I would not be afraid next game against the Pistons to start him in the starting lineup. Put him next to, maybe instead of a Pritchard, maybe you go small, you go Boucher, you go Hugo Gonzalez. I would keep Sam Hauser in there. Sam Hauser, by the way, just had a fantastic game. He was really the only one on that offensive end that was actually making baskets, right? What did he go? 6 of 10 from 3, 18 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, right? He hasn't shot below 40% in the season since before high school. So Sam Hauser you can always count on. The only problem with Sam Hauser is he's not a ball handler. He needs other guys to make the shots for him or make the plays and get him open, right? He is not a, dribble and take a shot off of a dribble. He is waiting in the corner or he's coming around a screen to shoot an open shot. And so you need guys, like I just said, that can provide that for him. And right now with Brown, with White, with Pritchard, and Simons to a degree, which we'll talk about in 1 second, are not doing that right now. And so, yes, Sam Hauser's basically knocking down every shot he gets, but that's the only offense they have going. And so those 4 other guys, when Sam Hauser's not on the court, are right now at the moment just it's absolutely a mess right now, those 4 guards. Simons, for the most part, right, he wasn't great offensively. He has to continue to get better at that, which I think, he was one of the best scorers in the league last season. He is a bona fide scorer. I don't think that's going to be a problem for him. And his defense, it's not going to be all NBA level, but the fact that I didn't notice it tonight, I think there were a couple plays maybe, but I didn't notice it is a good sign. The fact that we're not talking about Simon's defense is a positive. But where is the offense that he was brought in here for? Like, where is that we know he can be? We just need something from that second unit, because when Joe Mazzulla made that subs in that second quarter and put in Simons, things fell apart because they could not score. And Simons was going against starting defenders last year. It should be easier for him to score right now against second unit defenders. So maybe you put him in the starting unit, although I don't think that's going to work if he can't find a way to score against second unit players. And I know it's still early, you can't overreact to everything, but the Celtics just don't have a chance in these games when their 4 main guys just cannot score. They just don't have anything else, and their defense isn't quite good enough to hold teams under 100 points in a shootout or in a rock fight, and just try and basically out hustle their guys to a win. They have the guys, which is why I think I want to see more Boucher, who had a great game again with 4 blocks. Boucher, Hauser, a Hugo Gonzalez, all the guys that are just going to play with 100% effort because they got nothing else to lose. Those are the guys I want to see right now until we can get, a Simons and a Pritchard to, up their play. Derrick White the same, and Derrick White's going to start because he does a lot of great things, both defensively and playmaking, but I need Jaylen Brown scoring 30 points a night. I need Derrick White scoring 25 points a night. Derrick White right now is in a awful slump, and it's really hurting this team because not only is he missing these shots from three, that is now leading to transition and quick, points up the other end, and he is doing a fine job defending, right? He's not a problem defensively by any means, but Derrick White is one of those smaller defenders, and he does great against guards, but he needs, help against bigs, and when teams are able to get out in transition because of a missed shot that Derrick White, it might be from the top of the key, but if it's from the corner, then he's got a much farther way to go. And at the moment, Derrick White is airballing shots, so it's not even taking bounces off the rim. It's going right into a defender's hand who can just throw it up the court for an easy transition layup. But, what else do we have to talk about in this game? We talked about Hugo Gonzalez. We talked about White. Pritchard, he does his part defensively. It's going to be a struggle when he goes up against, bigger defenders or bigger offensive players, right? Karl Anthony Towns in this game particularly was a problem for Pritchard. And I'm a little upset at the way the Celtics are playing defense on guys like Karl Anthony Towns. Because Karl Anthony Towns, yes, he's much bigger than a Pritchard, much bigger than a White. He's going to score. But Karl Anthony Towns can be impatient. And he can, sometimes, if you can aggravate him, maybe you can get him to kick the ball out, or maybe he makes a bad pass, or he takes a shot that maybe is not a perfect shot and he misses. Why are the Celtics bailing him out with just cheap fouls when they get past? Like, I want to see Pritchard, I want to see Simons try and defend him without fouling. See if he can, miss a shot, or you can force a turnover or a bad pass, or really any of that. I think the Celtics can do that because they really have no other option. Like, the worst thing that happens is you let him score. Maybe it's an and one, but, push on him. Maybe hack him when he's going up, right? Let him take the free throws and don't let him take the shot, or you let him take the shot but not the free throws. One or the other. Don't do a weak foul that gets called but he can still go through you. You got to go in with all force or no force, but body him. Try and make it difficult for him to score. And any of these guys that they're going up against, you just have to try, because at some point, the Celtics, Payton Pritchard, Derrick White, Jaylen Brown, they will start scoring. And the offense is not going to be the problem. Right now, the offense is the problem. But eventually, the offense isn't going to be a problem. I have faith in that. The defense is the thing that's going to shine through as the weakness on this team. And at the moment, it's switched, but it's not going to last forever. And so the Celtics have to start to, create an identity on the defensive end of everybody trying to do their part to basically bring the whole defense up and play to a level that individually none of them are at, except Derrick White and Jaylen Brown, who, Derrick White, he's not obviously going to be guarding those bigger players. Jaylen Brown could be guarding those bigger players, but right now Jaylen Brown looks a little slow, whether that's from his knee injury or his hamstring that he injured in preseason. I expect that, to hopefully, fingers crossed, heal out as the season goes on, because I would like to see more explosiveness from Jaylen Brown, because you just need that, right? You can't rely on, yes, I said they need to be shooting 15 threes on 35%. a night. But in order to do that, you have to get a Jaylen Brown that's also willing to go downhill and, bang into other guys, go physical to the rim, because that's how you open up the floor for other guys. The reason why Derrick White is not shooting great right now is because there's guys in his face all night, all game long, 48 minutes a night. Whenever he's on the court, he's got such a little space to shoot because guys are not, when Tatum's there, when Holiday's there, when Porzingis is there, defenders will float off of him to try and defend the, quote-unquote, better offensive players than him. But now that Derrick White is the second best player on this team offensively, he has either their first or second defender on him at all times. And so he's getting such a little space to do anything with it, and that's what's leading to him, rushing shots, these air balls, these bad misses. And then on the other end, that missed shot is leading to easy points. But, I'm going to wrap it up here. You can't overreact to just Game 2. Celtics do play the Pistons on Sunday. Pistons are playing well right now, but it's another one of those games where you have to take advantage of it because there are games coming up where you're just not going to have a chance in almost every scenario. Yes, if you shoot whatever lights out 70%, you might be able to beat a team here and there. But for the most part, I'm not counting on them beating a Thunder, beating even a Nuggets. The Warriors look good right now. The Rockets, any of these teams, that are top contenders in the West, even the Cavs, right? I think you're lucky to be in this game against the Knicks. Later in the season, I think the Knicks are going to be a lot better because, we'll see. But this new play style for the Knicks, playing 11 guys in a quarter, might help them out a ton as the season progresses. But before we wrap it up here, the Celtics did reveal, or the NBA did reveal the Celtics NBA Cup court for this year. It's pretty similar color scheme-wise as last year's. It doesn't have the rings around that center, those stripes. It's more of now a checkered pattern throughout the entire court with darker greens and then lighter greens, like a chessboard almost. Every team has that sort of style, that chessboard style with a darker color and then a lighter color. Obviously, the Celtics have that parquet stripes, so each individual, checker piece has 4 or 5 of the tiles for that, older look that the Celtics parquet style flooring that the Celtics always play on. But I'm excited to see how this team plays in this cup because the last couple of years, there have been the NBA championship has been, way above their ceiling, and they've sort of looked past the NBA Cup. But this is the type of team that I think could go and win the NBA Cup if they can continue to improve and get good shooting as the season goes on, which I think will happen. Because, other teams that are, gearing for an actual NBA championship are not going to be as concerned with this. They have some young rookie guys that could use the money maybe on this team, and it's something to play for in a season that there might not be much to play for when it's all said and done. So I'm excited to see how this team plays in the NBA Cup. But I'm going to wrap it up here. We will be live either tomorrow night or maybe Sunday morning before the Patriots game, just reacting with takeaways from the first 2 games. So make sure to check that out. And until next time, follow on social media, and go Celtics.
Brown lets it fly. Bottom, a 3. From behind, knocking it away. Tatum cashes in. Pritchard got it back inside. And 1. Brown lets it fly. Bottom, a 3. From behind, knocking